So today, I wanted to share some information regarding the true map and relationships that form the cornerstone and foundation that our work stands upon. It has been clearly visible and documented that the so-called leaders of this flat earth quest for truth are not willing to go all the way with their research. It seems it is far more likely that such individuals are merely here to invent theories and thought experiments while disregarding physical evidence. We at Beyond Flat Earth will stop at nothing less than sharing all of our findings. This is an open source project, and those who do the work will be recorded and remembered. I'm here today with answers on cartography and how maps truly work. The International Cartographic Association defines cartography as a discipline dealing with the conception, production, dissemination, and study of maps. Cartography is also about representation, the map. This means that cartography is the whole process of mapping. Cartography is a complex and ever-changing field, but at the center of it is the map-making process. Viewed in the broadest sense, this process includes everything from gathering, evaluation, and processing of source data, through the intellectual and graphical design of the map, to the drawing and reproduction of the final document. As such, it is a unique mixture of science, art, and technology, and calls for a variety of in-depth knowledge and skills on the part of the cartographer. Sometimes, one person directs the entire sequence of cartographic activities, but this occurs only in relatively simple cases. In the creation of a map, it is much more common for the various tasks to be split up and accomplished by several individuals. Cartography is much more than just map making, however. It is also an academic discipline in its own right. It has its own professional associations, regional, national, and international, journals, conferences, educational programs, and its own identity. As a discipline, it embraces not only cartographers who make maps, but also cartographers who teach about maps and cartographers who do research on maps. Once seen as the products of relatively straightforward practical exercise, maps are now viewed as complex intellectual images, offering rich potential for scientific investigation. Whether the thrust of the research is cognitive, mathematical, historical, perceptual, or technological, cartographers are exploiting this potential to the fullest. Now I'd like to go to the map that Jason from Awake Souls and I have been using. It has been coined the Oblique Mercator Projection, or the World Satellite Image Map. So all the links are going to be below. This stunningly detailed satellite image of the world, detailed land cover data depicted in an oblique Mercator projection. The parameters of this map projection have been carefully chosen so that the inevitable distortion that occurs is regulated to the oceans and to the least populated and least recognizable land masses. The result is a unique, visually interesting flat map of the world that exhibits nearly no distortion, even at the poles. This version of the map has been done in a stylish portrait, and all we've done is we've correctly orientated the north, south, east, and west. So I'm gonna stay tuned, stay awake, stay aware, and we here also know that the truth will not be televised. It will be imprinted. So please, keep searching for the truth. We will find a way. And don't ever forget that you matter. You are important. And anything that you can share will make a difference.
I looked and saw flying spirits, the solar elements called phoenixes and chalkedras, strange and wonderful. For their form was that of a lion, and their head was that of a crocodile. Their appearance was multicolored, like a rainbow. Their size was 900 measures. Their wings were those of angels, but they have 12 wings each. They accompany and run with the sun, carrying heat and dew, and whatever is commanded them of God. Thus the sun goes through a cycle, and he goes down and he rises up across the sky and beneath the earth with the light of his rays, and the sun is there on the track unceasingly. And those men carried me away to the east of that heaven, and they showed me the solar gates through which the sun comes out according to the appointment of the seasons, and according to the phases of the moon for the entire year, and according to the numbers of the horologe, day and night. I saw 6 open gates, each gate having 61 stadia and a quarter of a stadium. And I measured carefully, and I figured out their size to be so much, through which the sun comes out and goes off to the west. It becomes even, and goes in through all of the months. The first gate, the sun comes out for 42 days. The second, 35 days. The third, 35 days. The fourth, 35 days. The fifth, 35 days. The sixth, 42 days. And then once more the sun does an about turn and goes back the other way from the 6th gate, according to the round of the season. And the sun goes through the 5th gate 35 days, the 4th 35 days, the 3rd 35 days, the 2nd 35 days. And so the days of the whole year are completed, according to the cycle of the 4 seasons. Then those men carried me away to the west of the heaven, and they showed me 6 large open gates corresponding to the circuit of the eastern gates, opposite them, where the sun sets, according to the number of days, 365 1/4. Thus the sun goes back once again to the eastern gates, under the earth. And when the sun goes out from the western gates, he takes off his light, the splendor which is his radiance, and 400 angels take his crown and carry it to the Lord, for since his shining crown is with God, with 400 angels guarding it. The sun turns his chariot around and goes back under the earth on wheels, without the great light which is his great radiance and ornament. The sun remains for 7 great hours in night, and the chariot spends half its time under the earth. And when he comes to the eastern approaches, in the 8th hour of the night, the 400 angels bring back the crown and crown him, and his brightness and the shining of his crown are seen before sunrise, and the sun blazes out more than fire does. Then the solar elements, called phoenixes and chalcedras, burst into song. That is why every bird flaps its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light. They burst into song at the Lord's command. The light giver is coming to give radiance to the whole world, and the morning watch appears, which is the sun's rays. And the sun comes out over the face of the earth, and retrieves his radiance, to give light to all the face of the earth. They showed me the calculation of the sun's movement, and the gates by which he goes in and out. For these are the great gates which God created to be an annual horologe. This is why the sun has the greater heat, and the cycle for him goes on for 28 years, and begins once more from the start.